Oh, it always thinks like, and we are live. Boo, 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 boo. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for a slumber party. We have a very, very special guest with us here today. You know him from, oh, just a couple of things. Ever heard of the other two? Ever heard of the original Broadway cast of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert? Like Haja Fu, Go Go Boy Interrupted, a chorus line, and of course, we've had so many amazing Elphabas on. We had to have a Fiyero. Welcome to the stage, Nick Adams.
Hi.
You're like, that is a lot of energy coming at me right
No,
now.
I love it. It's great. It's the most energy I've had in a while. So thank you.
Truly, what was your day like today? How did you get through this quarantine day?
I mean, it was a pretty basic day, honestly. Nothing too exciting. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I ventured in gyms opened up here and it's been really touch and go, but
yeah.
surprisingly, it was okay. I went and checked it out and it's all
Were
right.
there like full tarps over every machine, like people in hazmat suits in between every
I would
weightlifting?
actually prefer that, but no, there's an employee that's been like fumigating some type of sanitizer all over everything, and people have been pretty good about wiping things down, but everybody's in masks and they're not letting the capacity's greatly limited, but it still feels
That's good.
it's a little I feel like they're doing the best they can, but it's also like, is that a smart thing to be open? Is it a smart thing to be going? I don't know. But
I
um
know nobody really knows anything. It's the kind of crazy thing that we're dealing with. Is just kind of like, all right, I guess we'll just keep trying stuff till we figure out if this works. And I hope you're going to like a nicer gym because I really, when I was living in New York, went through every kind of gym you could go to, including like the cheap gyms. And
yeah,
even not during a pandemic, I was like, I wish I was in a hazmat suit.
always. Yeah, they're filthy. They're hideous. But no, I don't go to like they even have I was going to say Reebok Sports Club, where like Equinox is out of my price range. Honestly, I think that's too much to spend on time that I don't enjoy. You know?
Yeah, time that is not fun.
Yeah.
I had a free membership to Equinox for 3 months one time, and I was fully just like stealing the lotion and putting it in like a giant plastic bag, stealing the Kiehl's products as much as I
As you
possibly
should.
could.
You're paying for that. Absolutely.
What are you watching in core?
Um,
What are your shows?
I'm thrilled that Pen 15 is back for season two.
Me too.
I'm good. So I've been binging that the last couple days, and
What episode are you on?
six.
Oh, damn,
On six.
you're
Yeah,
going through.
when I right, we're on six. Sleepover. Um, yeah,
Very apropos for
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I really enjoy that. God, I feel like I've just been watching everything. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like anything that comes out, I'm like, yes. Oh, we watched Antebellum last night.
I haven't seen that yet. Good.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
Okay. I can't wait to watch that.
I think you should watch it.
Um,
Trying to think of other series that we watched. If you what else are we watching? I'm asking my boyfriend. The Vow. Oh my God, The Vow.
okay, Nick, let's do a deep dive into the vow for a second.
Oh yeah, I've been doing my penances all day actually. So that's you know. Um,
I forgot I have to send you
uh,
my collateral to let you be on this podcast.
yes, exactly. Ready, Master. Um,
Did you know about Nexium before you watched the vow?
no,
I had listened to the podcast, so I'm like, it's mostly the same stuff that I listen to on a podcast, and still, when I see it, my jaw is on the floor.
like okay. The first few episodes, I was like, yeah, this is incredible. Like, I'm like, are they still
No.
doing this in Albany because my aunt lives there? I was like, maybe I should go live in Albany while this is happening. I gladly look. I feel like there's a lot. I listen to Abraham Hicks. Like, do you know who Abraham Hicks is?
No.
She's like the power of you know uh, law of attraction and like
Okay.
positive thinking and like whatever. It's a good like kind of mantra for the day. Like listening to her speak. But this is it's like an elevated version of that that seems a little more intense. So I think the foundation, like the fundamentals of this could be good. It's just that this guy, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it yet, but look, it gets dark quick. But you think in real life circumstances that you'd be like, I'm sorry, you want to do what? Like you just would be like, this is crazy. But
I know. You would think that I keep bouncing back and forth between that by being like, why? If that were me, I would get the hell out of there. But then
right.
I remember I went to 4 years of an acting conservatory.
Exactly. And
And I'm like, wait, I kind of did that.
Yeah. You're like, oh, it's just me. Those are my insecurities. Like I just have to push through it. Like, yeah.
That's the thing, is it's really manipulative. Like it's really and you're right. I think a lot of people are like not really wanting to say that, but it's just the truth. Like there is something about it in when you're first learning about it where you're like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to on the podcast, which they didn't say, I don't think on the HBO series, which I thought was really interesting. The lawyer defending Keith Raniere and Allison Mack, I think, was like, he was like, when I decided to take this case, it was, and he's, obviously trying to spin it for himself to make himself look better, but he was like, right. I decided to defend them because the fundamentals of this were a good idea. Like, don't you want to live your life like you're not a victim? Like every choice you make in your life it has a result, and you are therefore in control of your life. Like that's not a bad idea. No. It's just the way they used it to manipulate people is truly crazy in every way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The first few episodes, you're like, yeah, okay. Like I would go live in the woods and like have like a community. And then when they brought out those sashes, I was like, honey, those are dollar store.
Yeah. That was a red flag for sure.
That's the red flag.
Like if they would have been at least like a luxurious fabric, I'd be like, oh wow, okay, it's worth the money. Like, yeah.
That and Albany. Albany, no offense to your aunt, but Albany is a big red flag for me.
Also that. It's so random. Like, and they're making them all like come move to Albany, like
from LA, which is famously nice weather, at least.
Yeah.
And they're like, come to beautiful Albany. Your life will be changed forever. Bring a parka. It's really, but it is so entertaining, and I cannot wait for the next episode because it is.
Yeah, I'm waiting with bated breath. Bring it to me. I hate that, I have a hard time now watching series that I can't just watch them all at once.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's really trying, but it gives you something to look forward to, which is kind of nice.
That's true. They're like controlling our,
when you're like,
our ability. Yeah.
You're like, ooh, I'll have that tonight. Yes.
Yeah, I have something to look forward to rather than, truly binge watching. I'm sure I will finish Pen 15 tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
So quickly.
Did you watch, I'm sure you watched all the drag races. We tried to watch Holland.
Oh, yeah?
It's very tricky because it's, subtitles. So it's a lot. You want it's a lot of action. You want us to like take in the queens, but it's also, you're reading in real time. So you've got to keep up with, and it's a lot of banter back and forth. So it's an adjustment.
It's really hard because, subtitles are one thing if you're watching a documentary or you're, watching a foreign film, but to watch Drag Race, it makes it really difficult because comedy is such a huge part of that show. And sometimes like it gets lost in translation when you're trying to read, and also, but the looks, their makeup and their looks, I was like, these queens are doing it.
Yeah.
Did you see
farther along than Canada was at the beginning,
by far? And I love Canada. Canada to me is one of the best seasons ever because it was so messy. But these queens are like, these queens are like that Marie Antoinette look when she just opened her skirt and it was shelves underneath.
Props, I know. Just set dressing.
Set dressing. You've done a lot of shows that you got to be in drag for. Yeah. Do you feel like you have an elevated sense of what drag is because you got to do it so much? Like, do you feel like you know more about it?
I think in a way, yes, because I know I would never, I would not be like a skilled drag queen like at a bar. Like that's excuse me, that's not my obviously my thing. But I had to learn like what goes into it, and it requires so much. In the 3 Broadway musicals that I had to be in drag in, you know, like it's a commitment, and it takes a lot of
It's
dedication.
so funny that you were in 3 Broadway shows in drag, because I feel like so many people know you. Like you're a very muscular, very like muscular presenting man. So the idea of 3 different shows were like, let's fem him up, put a wig on him, let's do full drag, is so funny to me.
Me too. Thank you.
And so fierce.
She's not cute, you know. It's not a good look for me, but
I saw you in the Kaj, honey, and it was a good look and very funny.
very specific. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite season of Drag Race?
I think I can't remember what season, but Bianca's season, because
Yeah.
you know, Bianca was such a nightlife presence when I first moved here to New York, and I used to love going to see her at gay bars, and you know, she's no one's funnier, and so I really love that's like my favorite type of drag queen, is a comedy queen. So I just was so excited that she was on the show, and then obviously to take home the crown was thrilling. But I don't know. I feel like
Wait, I've never.
What?
Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, go for it.
I've never talked to anyone who's like seen her live. That's you saw you were watching her. Yeah, I mean, maybe I have like in passing, but never on the podcast. Like,
Wow.
so what? I mean, that's really cool. What bars were you going to? Was she doing? I have so many questions. First of all, what bars were you going to where you used to see her?
She used to do upstairs at Vlada. I think it.
Yes. Okay.
The Ritz. It was like a lot of. I think I saw her at Barracuda. I mean, this is years ago. This is like
Yeah.
years ago. But just like reading people in the audience, and you know, she doesn't hold back, and it's so. And she's
I
always
love
so
that.
quick and witty and funny, and also super kind. She randomly like struck up a friendship with my mom. My mom met her, I think, at like an opening night for something. It was either Lacage or Priscilla and Bianca. I think Bianca was at both, and so my mom was like making friends with her, and so Bianca always is like, Roy will like comment on my mom's pictures and is always like messaging me and how's your mom and like sending her love and stuff. It's so funny.
That
My
is
mom,
really cute.
yeah, it's
I
adorable.
love that. Wait, what were you gonna say about your mom?
She loves it. She's obsessed. We were like watching. We went to my mom's in Pennsylvania for a couple weeks, and we were watching the last. We were watching Canada's Drag Race with my mom, and she's like, "This is hilarious." She loves
I've
it.
been trying to get my mom into it so hard and now we have like friends who've been on it, or like people she knows out of drag, and I'm like, they're on the show. Like I used to live with Britta Filter, so I was
Yeah.
like texting my mom being like, "You've met Jesse, you have to watch the show." And her and my dad tried to watch it, and they were like, "Listen, we love the drag, we love the art, but reality TV is not for us. Talking heads bore me." That's what my mom said. I was like, yeah, that's fair. That's so cool that you used to go see Bianca. My first queen that I think I used to like go see. People do not understand about New York City drag. Like when the queens go on the show and they're like, "I'm from New York, I'm gonna kill this." People don't get that that is real, because there is nothing like a New York City drag show.
I agree. I mean, I think I'm significantly older than you, but Candace Kane used to perform in Chelsea at this bar called Opus 22, and it was on the corner across from Chelsea Piers. So she would do these like brunch shows on Sundays and just run into the middle of the highway and like she would stop traffic and be doing like dropping into splits and like dancing in the highway. I mean, it was such a great time in New York to be in that scene, you know?
That's
Candace
awesome.
Kane. Damn, she was amazing.
Everything.
Yeah.
So good. I know. I just like I've been to a few shows in LA, and I've like traveled around doing my stand-up show a few places, so I would like go. I saw a lot of drag in the UK when I was there, and I was just every time. I mean, the drag is always amazing, but it's not like a New York City. Nothing is like a New York City drag show
Yeah.
because of that element. I think of like any fucking thing could happen.
Yeah.
Like I saw a girl I think on Fire Island a few years ago named Logan Hardcore, I think
Yeah.
is her name. She got up on the rafters and hung her legs from the rafters and hung upside down like a bat and did the entire number like that. And then she did Hello by Adele and just kept pulling out old ass like Nokia phones from a plastic bag
Oh my God.
over and over and mixing them in with the hellos from the dialogue from the movie Scream and then throwing the phones. It's just not like that anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so good. And then didn't you do Broadway Bears with Bianca? Was that your
Yeah.
year?
Well,
That's so cool.
the last year that I did it, yeah, Bianca was in it as well.
It was you, Bianca, and Laverne Cox, right?
Huh? Yeah.
I saw that show. That was so good. It was like so funny and so much fun. And I remember that being like after wasn't that was like very recently after Orlando, right? I
Yeah.
think. I remember that being like a huge deal to me that after that happened, I think that was the first place I went
Yeah.
in public, like with a bunch of other gay men. And I remember walking to your show being like, I'm fucking scared. I had the thought like, should I put flip flops on tonight? That'll be easier. And then I was like, nope, I need to put sneakers on in case I need to run. And then it was just such a celebration of like no fear, and we're all here together, and we're all going to just choose not to be afraid. And I don't know, watching you guys up there was like that was like a very special moment to me, and I think for a lot of queer people in New York,
Yeah.
that was that was so cool that you guys did that.
I love that.
It was honestly really that there's just something magical about the gay life in New York City.
Yeah. The sense of community, especially at those events where there's like, you know, unity and a great cause, and to have like thousands of, you know, gay people come together for it. The energy is tangible. It's really thrilling.
Yeah. And I remember maybe it was 2 years before that, or maybe it was just the year before that. Bianca came out. First it was James Franco came out and
Mm.
like showed his butt to the crowd. And I remember
Yeah.
the crowd like this is before I watched Drag Race because I started at season 7. So he had come out, he showed his butt to the crowd, everybody freaked out. And then Bianca came out and the applause was like 10 times louder than it was for James Franco.
Yeah.
And that was like such a cultural shift moment in my brain where I was like, oh, drag is about to take over the world.
Yeah.
It was why that was so wild to me. That was like I was like, oh, this is really becoming such a thing.
Yeah.
Do you, whether it was in drag or out of drag, do you have like a favorite experience of a show that you've done? Like, is there a show that you did that was very like the most special experience to you?
I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pinpoint just one, because I feel like each one has been a really significant chapter of my life and my growth as a human and performer and all of that. So it's tricky, but like I Priscilla was such a life-changing experience for me, and it was very much the like like all of the glamour and like esteem that people can like associate with Broadway and what that could entail. That really felt like all of it came together in that experience, because you know it is a job and it is really hard work, but I felt like I was dreaming for 2 years. You know, it just felt like it just was really special. And the show itself was just such an over the top, crazy spectacle that to do it every night felt like a rock concert. But then, you know, on top of it, I met my partner of now 10 years. And before that, I had been like understudying in the ensemble. So it was really like a huge shift career-wise and personally. And it like represents a lot of beautiful things for me. So that is like, I just don't know if I'll ever top sort of what that experience felt like. But doing Falsettos, my most recent musical, was like a God. It just was everything that I've ever wanted to do as an actor in a musical, all in one. And I got to work with such incredible people, and it's a show that I've loved since I was in college. And to work under James Lapine, it was so crazy. I honestly, I feel like I grew so much doing that show. I felt like I've never been so present in my life, where I wasn't anticipating like the next job or worried about when the show was ending. It just was like each day I could like really receive what I was given, and it was so special. And I don't think I've ever really like lived in the moment the way that I did in that show, on stage and off. Like just being present and being like, you're doing this dream that you've always wanted, and you're I made such strong friendships in that show. I mean, Max Wonneson and I had been friends, I think, since I moved to New York. I mean, we met through friends and through just like the community. And we used to, when I was doing a chorus line, he was doing Les Mis, and the theaters connected through this little back doorway. And so like during the shows, our stage managers were cool with it. We would like, if we weren't on stage, you could like go creep into the other theater and watch like from the wings. So
that's cool.
I have this early memory of like looking off stage and stage right and seeing Max like in his like under t-shirt and like boxers, like standing in the wings when he wasn't on, like watching numbers and stuff. So it's just, we have known each other a long time. And so this experience, getting to play opposite one another, we are now like thick as thieves, like best friends. I mean, I can call him and talk to him about anything. And Eden I didn't know at all. I mean, I just had met her at some concerts that we did together, you know, where it was like a giant roster of people from New York. And I didn't anticipate the sort of, God, like miracle of a human that she is, because she is so fiercely talented and she's so remarkable. But that woman is like a crystal of the earth. I mean, she is the most grounding, beautiful energy, and so supportive. And she's like, you know, when I'm in my late 30s, and it's not every day that you meet people that are then immediately get like interwoven into your circle. And she's one of those people. And everyone that works with her or knows her personally, it's like they have the same feelings about her. So I'm really lucky.
I love that so much. I've only met her the one time doing this podcast, but I had the exact same experience where I was like, you know, to me in my brain, I saw her when I was in high school doing Brooklyn on Broadway, and that it was, I mean, it was truly life altering. Hearing singing like that live was like, whoa, like it was such a special experience. And so she will always be like on a pedestal in my brain with like, you know, the Audra McDonalds and the Sutton Fosters and like the people who you know, were my escape from life growing up. So to then talk to her and then have her be like the coolest ever, I just walked around the rest of the day like, oh, I guess this is like what heaven probably feels like. Like just like getting to talk to Eden Espinosa, and like, yeah, she just like couldn't be easier to talk to or cooler, or it's very rare to have somebody who is that amazingly talented also be that great.
So cool. I know I was so intimidated. Like our first rehearsal for Falsettos, I remember, or actually I met her, we did a photo shoot, her and Max and I, maybe a month or two before we started rehearsals, just so they had images of the three of us for the press release. And so at that point, I remember she like came in because we all got like hair and makeup done in the same room, and I was just like, "Hi, I'm Nick." Like,
Hey.
I know. And now it's like, God, I mean, we like lived together on the road when we were doing Falsettos. I mean, I just, it's funny to think that I had this like idea of who she'd be, and she's like beyond my expectations. So
speaking of that, and going back to Priscilla,
yeah,
that Midler produced that, right?
she was the above title producer, baby. Yeah.
Did you get to talk to her?
Yeah.
Did you like, do you know Bette Midler?
Yeah. Like, Okay, my mom's gonna kill me if she's watching this, but my mom at her second wedding walked down the aisle to the rose. So that is like in a
Hell
backless
yeah.
blue velvet gown, mind you. And I was at that wedding, and it didn't last. But so Bette Midler, like I grew up with all of her movies, and like my mom was always playing her albums. I love Bette Midler. So to get to work with her on it was just insane. It was
Is
crazy. I remember
she
we did the Today Show, and she was like doing the interview like to introduce the show like before we did our performances. And I remember like she was like, we've got the three stars. She's like Will Swenson, Tony Sheldon, and Nick Adams. My God. And I was like, oh my God, Bette Midler just said my name on national TV. It was one of those moments where it really like hit me this was happening. Yeah, it was wild. We went to her Halloween party. I mean, it was
Oh
wild.
my God. Those are like legendary.
Yeah, I have pictures like at opening night with like Bette, my mom and dad, and Joan Rivers like in a corner talking together. I mean, that's insane. Yeah,
You got to talk to Joan Rivers?
yeah. She actually had money in the show as well. But I have this like great picture of her like holding my face, and like it was like a
Oh
private
my
moment, and they snapped.
God.
Yeah, it was wild. And oh my God, my stepmom, I'll never forgive her. My stepmom like has a history of kind of like putting her foot in her mouth, and like she means so well, but she said something along the lines of, "Oh, you're actually very beautiful in person," to Joan or something. It was like, oh my God. But she took it like as
She probably
it's
gets
so
shit like
cool.
that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I mean. It was like such a wild ride, that show, getting to, be around like literal divas. It was nuts.
Literal divas. My dad called me an hour ago before we did this podcast and he goes, "Have you seen the Coastal Elites TV show?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "You gotta watch it. Bette Midler. So hysterical." And I hung up the phone. I was like, "Okay, Dad." She really, I mean, that's a legend. And I love that your stepmom did that because we all have those relatives who like you're like, "I love you to death, but I really don't want you to be around the celebrities." I have many of those, but my mom is actually the opposite. And she's like, I call her the celebrity whisperer because she can make any super famous person beeline over to us and talk to us. I don't know how she does it, but like one example that I always give was one time we were walking down the street, my dad and my mom, and Trevor Noah was walking toward us. And so I like grabbed my mom's hand because they like seen him live a bunch of times. They bought his book, they watched The Daily Show. So I was like being like, oh, cool, they're here from Ohio. Like if I point at him, they'll think that's cool. So I like grabbed my mom's hand, I squeezed it, and like just pointed and was like, let's keep walking. But cool that you're seeing a celebrity, right? And she lets go of my hand and she goes, Trevor. She like grabbed his arm very not in like in a scary way, just in like a very like motherly way. She was like, Trevor, just finished the book, have to say fantastic work. And then she started to walk away, and I think he's so used to people like accosting him that he was like, wait, come back. He's like, thank you, who are you, how are you? And he just stood on the sidewalk while my dad and I like stood a few feet away and had like a full conversation with my mom. Then I was a coat check boy at Joe Allen. Thank you so much.
Work, Joelle.
And Rosie O'Donnell comes in all the time.
Sure.
And my mom was visiting from out of town. She was sitting at the bar. And like, I mean, Rosie's the nicest person in the world, but like, she's very, very, very famous. Like, we made a note of it not to bother her. And my mom beelined over to her as if they'd been friends for 20 years and was like, Rosie, how are the holidays? Rosie was like, good. My holidays are good. How are you? And she was like, my mom was like, good. What are you getting? What's good to get on the menu? And she was like fully talking to Rosie O'Donnell like she was,
Love your
everybody
mom.
else. I know. My mom's very cool.
Ballsy. I love that.
She's very ballsy. Speaking of moms, what were your summer parties like growing up?
My slumber parties. Surprisingly, my mom used to like let my girlfriend spend the night because I
I
was
love that.
But she must have known. She was probably like, yeah, they're good. They're safe. Like I don't have to worry about anything. Um, I actually like would throw like ragers when my mom was out of town, like where she'd come home and the house would be like destroyed.
Wait,
Like,
where are you from?
I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
So
hey. Okay.
like 2 hours north of Pittsburgh. Where are you from? Ohio?
Sandusky, Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So
Um,
Erie's not far from us at all.
not too far. But yeah, I she would be like, okay, you can have like one friend over, and then I'd have like 300 kids in the house. So, but I was like a good student, and like doing the musicals and all the extracurriculars, and so she was like, well, yeah, like cut the kids some slack, like let them have a party. Yeah, I don't know.
Let him have a rager. He's doing Oklahoma and he's doing a great job.
Love some speed. Yeah.
Was it like mostly the musical theater kids coming over to your
No,
place?
no, that not at all. None of them. Those were like separate. Like I had my high school friends, and then I had my like community theater crew, and so we would have like crazy times together too. Um, but yeah, I didn't like really mix the two while I was in high school. It was like I don't know. I just kept them very separate.
Yeah.
Obviously I think it was because I was in the closet, so I was like, oh, I'll do that, but then I got to try to like live this lie. So that now that I think about it, that's probably the reason I did that. But
Isn't that interesting? Before we were interviewing Elphabas, we mostly interviewed gay people on this podcast. My friend Peter Kim, who used to host with me, and I. And it's so fascinating, like the things just in talking to each other live in real time on a podcast, what we discover when we're like remembering something about a slumber party. We're like, oh yeah, I guess that probably was because I didn't want them to know I was gay.
yeah,
It's wild.
what a missed opportunity.
I know, but I can't believe that the camp is really divided. I will say, of doing like probably 50 episodes with gay men specifically. About half of them were like, yeah, my mom let girls sleep over, and the other half were like, no, that was like really not a thing. I was allowed to, and those were the most fun because
Yeah.
then you got to like do what you actually wanted to do. Like, I remember being like, so you have an American Girl doll. Could I see that for a little while? What movies were you guys popping in at your slumber parties? Did you have like faves?
I remember like in high school we were like obsessed with 54. That have you seen that movie?
Yes, I'm a Nev Campbell super fan,
Yeah.
so yeah.
I think I like really realized I was gay watching that movie. I couldn't. No.
You're like, yeah, I just do the musicals, and you like other friends. Come on over. We're gonna do straight stuff. We're gonna watch 54.
Yeah, that and oh my god, I made my boyfriend during quarantine. He'd never seen Boogie Nights, and I like snuck. My friends we used to like sneak into the movie theater, and I think I saw the movie like 3 times. So inappropriate for a kid to see, but I was just like, Mark Wahlberg, yeah, and a prosthetic dick, like sure.
That's the only part of the movie I've ever seen. That last
It's
part.
really dark. I mean, it's worth a watch for sure. There's so many stars in it. Um, but yeah, though it's like God, very telling. My AOL screen name was Hotness 54. That's how much I loved that movie.
Hotness 54.
Yeah,
Were you drooly Google eyes for Ryan Phillippe?
absolutely. Still am. Who
Yeah,
isn't?
same.
Maybe
True.
not Reese, but like everyone else still is. He's aging just fine.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Mark Wahlberg as well. Like aging well.
He
Both can
is.
still get it. Even more so maybe now.
Yeah.
Woo.
Have you ever seen Fear?
Oh yeah, of course.
That scene on the roller coaster with Reese and Mark Wahlberg is.
Yeah.
He absolutely gets into her wop, and she just it's literally like a 4-minute film sequence of her being like, oh,
Yeah,
on a roller coaster.
it really gets there.
They really go there. They really go there. Um, I before we run out of time, have to talk to you about our mutual obsession with
Oh, of course.
Britney Jean
I mean, a
Spears.
slumber party.
Truly,
Yeah,
truly. Have you seen this book before?
of course.
Have you read it?
Of course. What do you take me for?
I don't think I know anyone else who's read this.
Look, I was gonna say I think I have a Britney prayer candle behind me, but it's in the other room. I mean,
Oh my God.
the fandom is it knows no bounds.
Tell me about your love for Britney. How did it start?
I was on the bus on my way to I guess 99. What was I? A freshman in high school, maybe? No, junior? I don't know. But I was on the bus. I didn't drive yet, so it must have been like freshman or sophomore year. And I heard Baby One More Time on the radio, and it was just my friend Dipty and I like in the very back of the bus. And I remember like hearing that song, and it just like there was like energy and danger in it. I don't know. I just like perked up, and it was so I initially responded to the music, and then like saw the video, and I was like, this bitch can she's doing it right. And so I just like her energy, there was something about her. I had like literally all my room was like covered in Britney Spears.
Me
Like
too.
I had a poster above the ceiling, like on the ceiling above my bed. Every magazine I would buy like 8 copies and have like a stack. Like each cover I'd be like, oh, I have to get 8 because why not? And I had a couple of friends that also were like hardcore Britney fans, and we would go to like every concert. We would like drive to Pittsburgh, go to Cleveland, like drive to Chicago. Like I think I've seen almost all of the tours, and but I just there was something about her ferocity as a performer and like the way she would just control a room. Like you look back at like those early VMA performances, like Oops and I'm a Slave for You. I mean, even Baby One More Time. It's just like she was a showman. There was something about her just like being so confident. I'm like, well, that's how you do it, bitch. There it is. And so I fell in love with that. And I know people are like, oh, she's not a singer, like whatever. And her trajectory has been like her journey as a human has been sort of sad.
Yeah.
But she is like, she forever will be like the pop princess. Like she's America's sweetheart, even when she's a little bit off the rails, you know? And I never thought like growing up, like idolizing her, that she would be where she's at now, with what sort of how she's presenting her life. But I still love her. Like I get like really defensive when people like come for her, and I can't help it. I will get into it with somebody if they're like, oh, come on. But yeah, I'm obsessed with her. I feel like she informed me in a lot of ways. Like, and I know that's people will be like, oh no, I don't get it. But a lot of really good musical theater, successful, like award-winning musical performers will acknowledge in her heyday that there was something to credit, that she had like, there was something about her.
100%. And I mean, we have proof. Like when you watch those YouTube videos, like you're saying, I opened my stand-up show doing the choreo from the 1999 VMAs with NSYNC when she did that remix of Baby One More Time. And I can feel people in the best friends I've known for my life who come to see my show. I can feel them looking away from me dancing to rewatch the video because that is the kind of star that she is. Like she really had that like supernova thing that was just like, you're going to look at me.
Yeah.
And she's magnificent.
Yeah.
Did you see you saw the Baby One More Time tour, the very first one?
Yeah.
Did you see that in Cleveland?
I think I saw it in Pittsburgh, maybe. It was
Okay.
in the area. We didn't drive too far for that one, but I remember being outside and raining. So that's something like outdoor theater. Yeah.
Because that would have been crazy if we had been at the same one, but because I saw that in Cleveland outside, and Wait, but so we saw all the same like openers probably. It was do you remember? It was this band called PYT. They were
Yeah.
like four young girls and they sang this song that I still don't understand why they didn't become more famous because I was obsessed with the song. It was like DFW, down for whatever. And then there was like a Tommy Hilfiger branded male
Uh-huh.
singer. You remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
And then Steps, who were a huge band from the UK. A
It's just,
one for sorrow and a two too bad. Do you remember that? They taught us the choreo as like part of the Britney concert.
God, just what a time to be alive, honestly.
And she sang live in
Oh,
that concert.
yeah, that and the Oops tour because I I'm sorry, she was going for it and like giving you cracks and like under pitch, and I didn't care. She's dancing her ass off. I was like, get it.
Mhm.
Still giving me a vocal. So
She's really, I mean, she is truly a superstar. A lot of people have heard this story before, but because you're on, I have to tell you.
please.
When I was in the fifth grade, was on a Britney Spears group chat room, and a girl named Chessa2359 told me she was Britney Spears. And so I talked to her every single day after school for a year.
Oh my God.
I She asked me to dump my girlfriend, my fifth grade girlfriend for her, and I did. I
She she was the original Sherry Pie.
I actually did book bulk.
Oh my God, me too. And we're gonna be working together. I'm so excited.
I feel like the next episode of The Vow is going to feature some version of Sherry Pie.
Right? It must.
It feels like these worlds are not far off from each other. Literally, though, this girl catfished me. And I really believed it because I loved Britney so much that I just wanted to believe it that badly.
Yeah.
For a year, we would
That's
chat for like hours.
that's crazy.
It was wild.
Would she like send you pictures and be like, they'd be like Brittany Candids or no? It was just sort of like,
No, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if you could send pictures on AIM back then. I don't think you could, right? It was like, I mean, we didn't have each other's email. Could you send photos on AIM?
I remember like being a creeper with my friend Rick, and we would like go into chat rooms and pretend to be like teen girls, and we'd be like ripping pages out of like Cosmo and like scanning them, being like, "This is me."
Nick, not scanning them.
Oh yeah, we had a scanner that took like 20 minutes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh God, we did some crazy shit. Yeah.
The children will never understand the early. That's why Pen 15 is so good. The early days of the internet, of like watching a porn video, just be
Yeah.
like, like 45 minutes later, you see the top of his chest.
And then like your mom's coming, so you have to like close out, and then you have to start all over. It's terrible.
It's horrible. Really, really, really not good. Um, as a as a special treat, I want you to pick any number, and I'm gonna open to that page and I'm going to read part of a mother's gift.
Okay.
Any number.
Let's do 39. Isn't Brittany 39 now?
Oh, okay, yes.
Let's do her age. See what that.
Also, if you haven't in a while watched, speaking of like how amazing she is and how she doesn't get enough credit, there's an awesome interview, I think, with Barbara Walters, where Barbara Walters like really said some like messed up shit to her and is like, why are you why are she I think she straight up says, Brittany, are you a virgin? This is when Brittany's like 19. And have you seen this before?
Mhm.
Brittany looks her right in the eyes and she's like, that's not something I need to disclose to you. And Barbara Walters like goes in harder and is like, well, actually you've like built you're a role model for many young women across the nation. So it's important that you tell us. And like totally manipulating her. And Brittany just like, you see it in her eyes. She like stands her ground for a second and she's like, I think it's great if I'm a role model for young girls, but my sex life has nothing to do with the way they see me. And I was like, what? Like she's a very special person who was very manipulated by the system.
Absolutely. Standards were very different at the time. Like, no, people wouldn't get away with what they put her through now. It would.
No way. No way. And she wouldn't have to suffer through a lot of like everybody gets breast implants now and like nobody talks about it as a thing. But that was like the main news story for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like whether or not she had done that is so crazy. All right, page 39.
Let her rip.
The congregation began to clap in rhythm to the song, and Holly's voice rose even higher, pushed her by her excitement as she sang with the choir. She took one syllable and bent it into four. When she finished, she felt flushed and proud. She smoothed her choir robe underneath her and took her seat along with the others. For a second, her gaze fell on Tyler. He gave her a wink. Okay, she's a novelist as well. That was beautifully written. I don't care what anyone says. Okay. Thank you for indulging. Thank you for indulging me.
I love that.
Me reading A Mother's Gift. Before we leave, we're gonna head over to Patreon and play some Slumber Party games. But we do have one question in the chat from NB. They want to know, Nick, what was your favorite city when you were on the Wicked tour? And they want to know, did you get to perform with Allison Luff?
Yes, Allison was my first Elphaba. I love her to death. She's incredible.
She's so good.
So good. Oh my God. Yeah, we've been friends for a long time. But I was thrilled. I got to, when I joined the show, that she was with me for, I think, a couple months. On that tour, I loved Nashville. We were there for, I think, over a month. It was a nice long sit down. I just fell in love. I don't think I had ever been there before. And I mean, we were in Las Vegas for a few months. So for a few months? Yeah. We were at the Smith Center there, which I love. That theater is amazing. We rented a giant house with like a pool. I mean, it was great. I also just love Vegas. I mean, I wasn't gambling or anything, but I went and saw like Cirque shows and, we did it right. It was so much fun. And then we were in LA for 5 months. So. Oh, shit. Yeah, we were at the Pantages for a long time. So those were my top three, but Nashville I really fell in love with on the road with Wicked. It's such a cool city. Mm-hmm. It has like sort of like a weird reputation, I think, if you're from the north, if you live in Pennsylvania or Ohio, like you hear a lot of strange things about it and you sort of think like, oh, that's like, I don't know, sort of a conservative city, but it's actually such a cool city with so much good food. And like really great food, like really hip areas. I saw we went to see Cher in Nashville. She was randomly on tour at the same time, and so I went to my first Cher concert there. Really fun. Hell yeah, that's cool. Yeah. All right, before we go over to the Patreon, do you remember these? Yeah, this is very Pen 15. This is very Pen 15. This is very I'm gonna tell your future with this cootie catcher. I have a gay future, and a wicked future. This is the wicked future. On the Patreon, we'll do your gay future. But for your wicked themed future, pick a color. Green. GREEN. 1, 2, 5, or 6? 2. 1, 2. Same question. 1, 2, 5, or 6? 1. 1. Your wicked future is you popped Glinda's bubble by accident. You go to jail forever. Fierce. Fierce, I'm a legend. What a way to go. You'll never be forgotten. Love it. Yeah, truly. Truly. Before we pop over to the Patreon, anyone watching this, you can head on over to the Patreon to watch the more Slumber Party games to Nick and I later. But where can the people follow you? Where can they find you? I am at the Nick Adams on all handles on social media. It's easy. Great. At the Nick Adams. And I'm at T Murray06. Thanks for joining us, you guys. And we'll